Hi, how are you?
Hi, thank you for having me.
Awesome. Well, thanks for joining us. I really appreciate it. So we have quite a few people on. We have 28 and growing, but we will get started right off the bat. I was just telling everyone that if they do have questions for you, they can drop those questions in the comments and then we'll get to them as soon as we can. Of course, though, don't worry about it. I'll monitor the questions and I'll pass them off to you, okay? Awesome. So maybe I'll let you introduce yourself, give us your name, your program, hometown, that sort of stuff.
Okay, so hi everyone. My name is Yvonne. I come from Hanoi, Vietnam, and I'm currently studying media, film, and communication in Lakehead University, Arela campus.
Awesome. Thank you. So just to give our viewers a bit of background about yourself, do you have a fun fact to share, maybe?
Um, I'm kind of obsessed with bubble tea.
Bubble tea. Okay. And I'm pretty sure I know we had chatted before, and there is a place in Aurelia that you can get bubble tea. Do you have photos of the bubble tea, and do you want to share that with us?
Yeah, of course,
So
sure.
you can flip your camera around, I know.
I would show that. Here is the bubble tea place. It has bubble tea and also like really delicious dessert and Korean
That's
dessert as well.
that's quite the haul. Did you go with lots of people that day?
Yeah, I
Or
went with my group of friends. Really good
awesome.
friends.
And
Yes.
so what kind of bubble teas did you get? And what was that dish in the top? It looked quite good.
I got the matcha green tea bubble tea flavor,
Hmm.
and it's called the egg waffle with like chocolate
Oh,
syrup and powdered sugar. It's really
ooh.
delicious.
It's a good little treat. If you've really earned it, you can have it, of course.
Yeah.
So we'll jump into some of the questions that I have for you. Again, for some of the new visitors and new joiners, we do have Yvonne here today. Yvonne is studying media, film, and communication on our Aurelia campus, pardon me. And she's happy to answer questions about her program. She can also answer questions about her student experience thus far. And she is from Vietnam, so if there's any students joining us live right now from Vietnam, if you have questions specific to her, please let us know in the comments. Otherwise, I'll get going and I'll ask you the first question. So, what made you want to study abroad and at Lakehead University?
So studying abroad, it's kind of like my childhood dream. And it started since I kind of happens when I started learning English, and I just want to go overseas and study somewhere outside the country and have new experience. So when I got my IELTS test and the result kind of shocked everyone,
Hmm.
my mom and I think that we would seize the moment and we would go and study abroad. So yeah.
Awesome. So, you said that it was a childhood dream. Do you remember like how young you were when you first dreamt about studying abroad and maybe in Canada?
I I started studying English when I was 6 or 7 years old. 7 years
Okay.
old, I think.
And so when you started learning English, you thought it was pretty cool, obviously, and you thought you could picture yourself maybe really developing your English maybe in another country, obviously. And then when did you take your IELTS score? Was that in your final year of high school?
Yeah, it was in grade 12, this final year of high school, so it was a pretty quick decision, and it's also, a,
For sure, yeah.
yeah,
So you said
very
that you
short.
wrote the test, and once you got the results back, and you and your family realized that you had done quite well on the tests. You thought you would just take that opportunity and go and study abroad because you know that you would pass that English language requirement for admissions at least.
Yes.
Awesome. Um, and so, what also made you pick Canada for studying abroad?
I think I picked Canada because of its reputation of being safe and
Okay,
friendly and well, there's one part that's it's cold, but it's all friendly and the safe part makes
for
my
sure,
mom and
yeah.
I think it's a be a good place for me
Yeah, and
to
so
study.
I heard you mention that you thought you would pick it because you've also heard that Canadians are friendly.
Yeah,
What's been your experience so far? Have we lived up to that standard?
totally. I was super nervous when I first came, and everyone at the university is very friendly to me, and I can ask like any questions, and they will be so happy to answer all of them, which is
Hmm.
super nice.
For sure. Yeah, I know that during our typical like welcome weeks or orientation weeks, our staff are like kind of watching for students that maybe look like they're a little lost, like they need help getting to their next class. So I know that they're always looking to help students, but also if you stop any one of our faculty or staff in the hallway, they're always willing to help. I mean, I was a student for 4 years before working for Lakehead, and when I first started as a student, um, I remember I didn't go and do a tour to find out where my classes were. And I regretted that, of course. But the first day, I just kind of like guessed to where the classes were. And then I immediately stopped somewhere. I was like, okay, like I'm gonna be late. Where is this class? And they honestly walked me right to the class, and it was totally out of their way. But that kind of like made it a positive experience for my first day. Otherwise, I would have been very embarrassed walking late to my first class of all of university.
Yeah.
Um, so, what were you most excited for or nervous about before you even came to Canada?
I'm the most excited for the snow because I come from a tropical country. We don't have snow. So seeing snow for the first time is really exciting for me. And the first day I come to Canada is also like snow is already like feel the
Yeah,
ground and everything. Just it's a pretty exciting moment for me. First time seeing
for
snow and
sure. And to
being in the cold.
clarify, when you first got to Aurelia, you came in the end of December or beginning of January, right?
It's the beginning of January. Yeah.
Beginning of January. Okay, so for some of our students that maybe come in the May intake or the fall intake, they don't need to expect snow when they first get here. But obviously, since you were excited to see snow for the first time, I'm sure that was probably a really exciting experience, but also a nerve-wracking one because you don't know what the weather is going to be like. Um, was there anything that you were nervous for with regards to coming to Lakehead or studying abroad in general?
Um, like I'm although really excited for the snow, but I'm also super nervous about the cold because you know I'm used to the heat and the warm weather, Vietnam, and suddenly I'm into a very cold country. It's all it's scares me and all of my family is like, how are you gonna survive in the winter? What are you gonna do?
We've heard that. We've definitely heard that, and it's funny because obviously we're so used to our temperature and winters and whatnot. And then when students come here, it's a brand new experience for them. So I'll pass it off to you again. Like, how have you um, stayed busy in the winter? How have you thought about the weather so far?
Um, so I joined in most activities on campus. Like there are a lot of cool activities like snow tubing and day trip, and also there are a lot of culture day happening in campus. And also to survive in the winter, I just pack a lot of like warm clothes, and I bought like a huge fluffy jacket so that I wouldn't feel cold. I think it's yeah, just all the basic stuff like scarves and um, beanies and stuff to keep you
For
warm in the
sure, yeah.
winter. Yeah.
And then even just the fact that you can layer up for winter. I know obviously all of our buildings are heated, so when you're in class, you can be in your t-shirt, you can wear regular clothes. Of course, if you're going outside, I mean, the walk from residence on campus to the academic building is about 1 or 2 minutes, if that, maybe 30 seconds if you have a nice speed to your step. But obviously you do want to layer up if you're going out, and just wearing like an extra sweater, your winter jacket, your hats, and your mitts. That's what keeps you safe. But I know you also mentioned kind of going through the winter and staying active and doing activities still. So I know you mentioned that you did a day excursion, and I know that we've talked about it in the past. Do you have photos from your day excursion to share with anyone?
Yeah, I went to Bracebridge for one day for a Fire and Ice Festival. I have a picture of that right here. I'll show you guys. Here it is. It's Bracebridge in the Fire and Ice
Awesome.
Festival. Yeah.
And so what did you do at the Fire and Ice Festival?
So I tried snow tubing for the first time. I also tried beaver tails, which is,
Beavertail, the sweet
yeah,
treat though.
yeah, the sweet treat, not the
Mm.
real thing. It's,
Yeah,
um,
so beaver tails are like a very Canadian sweet treat that's pastry dough and then it has powdered sugar on there. It's really sweet too. It's a great dessert, but it's not the real thing. It's not a real beaver tail.
yeah, with like, um, chocolate sugar and like, it's
Mm,
really delicious. And I also went, it's a shopping street kind of, so we went shopping a lot, and also we walked around the street and also see all these beautiful sceneries in Bracebridge and really experience the snow because it was quite a snowy day, but it was very, very fun.
awesome. Well, I'm glad to hear that you had fun. So chatting about academics now, I wanted to ask you like what made you pick your program?
Um, I started to realize I had a thing for media when I started looking at pictures and videos, and I started to admire the production behind those um, films and photos.
For sure, yeah.
Uh, yeah, it started when I was in grade 12, and I started to realize, oh, I really like this, and I really like maybe I would want to work in the field. So that's why I choose media, film, and communications.
Awesome. So I have to ask then, um, did you have like a dream job when you were a young child? I know everyone has it, and the typical things you hear about is like firefighter or police officer. Did you have a dream job?
Um, my dream job when I was a kid is like being a pilot and something like that.
So obviously you've veered off of that path, and now you're looking
Yeah.
at the media, film, and communications. Um, that's very interesting. You said that you made that kind of realization in grade 12 that that's where your passions were and that's where you saw yourself studying at least.
Yes.
Awesome. So I do see a question in the comments. The question is with regards to submitting documents and transcripts. So they need to be sent, but given the current global pandemic, lots of our mail services around the world have stopped. So what I can say to that student is that Lakehead University is still receiving our mail. So our mail services department is receiving all of our mail, and they are keeping those documents so that when we are able to access them, we will get them and we will process them at the time. Um, Depending for the student, whether you apply for undergrad or grad, please, I encourage you to connect with the proper admissions team and then work with them. They are working with each applicant on an individual basis to make sure that we get the proper documents that we need to ensure that we can give you offers. Of course, because they are unofficial documents, right now they are conditional offers, but there are upload functions on your MyInfo account. And with those unofficial uploaded documents, our admissions teams are still making decisions. And then all they need is at the very end of it, before you do arrive on campus, then you would need to provide those final official copies. But there's more to come. Obviously, we're taking it day by day. Lakehead senior management team is working very closely with each individual unit on campus. So we are working through those processes and getting those answers to our students. Alrighty. So I see another question. Does Lakehead have any COVID-19 positive cases? So there are positive cases in both our communities. So within the greater Thunder Bay community as well as the greater Simcoe County community, there are positive cases. Um, As far as we know, there hasn't been any related back to Lakehead on campus or off campus. But again, we do encourage you to monitor our statuses. So if you visit lakeheadu.ca/about/coronavirus, it is Lakehead's main page to chat about updates, FAQ, so frequently asked questions for graduating students, current students, incoming students. There's plenty of details on there. And if you have applied already and we have your email in our application database, you will receive full updates from us via email with regards to your application and studying abroad. So I do encourage you to monitor your email on a regular basis, of course, but also check the Lakehead U coronavirus website. So I know we left off where I asked you about kind of how you picked your program, and you mentioned you had a passion for film and photography, and you kind of started to appreciate the production of those
Yes.
medias. And that decision you made in grade 12 was to study film, media, and communication. Media, film, and communication, pardon me. Um, Now I want to ask, what do you like most about your program so far?
Um, I would like that I get to really look and deep inside just a piece of art, like photography or a website or even like a package and everything, to see like what the underlying meanings of it is, which is so cool. And I'm also taking a course called Introduction to Digital Image. It's a Photoshop course, and it was great. I always wanted to learn Photoshop, and now I get a chance to learn it in university.
Awesome. And so have you done any like sort of projects that have really built upon that understanding of how images come together to tell a broader story?
Yeah, in one of my classes, we actually make a kind of like a catalog for a magazine. I'm going to show it right now. This is it.
Hmm.
So we basically just cut out all the pieces from a magazine, from magazines and everything, and we put it together so that it creates sort of like a theme and make a nice magazine board.
And so you worked with a group to do that project, and then what was the evaluation of that project? Like, did you have to present it to the class? Did you have to hand it in to the professor?
Yeah, we projected the board to the class and like kind of explained. So this is what we're going with. We're going with the red theme and black and white. So it has like this kind of like chic vibe to it, I guess.
Yeah, so obviously all the images had to relate and tell a broader story. Obviously,
Yeah.
cutting them out from so many different magazines, you have, I'm assuming you have a variety of different types of images, but they all tell
Yeah.
that broader story. So that tied in obviously to, was that your digital images class with Photoshop, or was that a different class?
It's a different class. It's a introduction to visual media class. Yeah.
Okay. And have you done any other research projects, or are you doing any other research projects within that class?
Yeah, we did an assignment called analyzing a space design.
Hmm.
Basically, you choose a space that you want to analyze, like bar or restaurant or cafe or like even gym and offices. So it's kind of like it's investigating visual media in relation to society, culture, and the arts. So basically,
Okay.
you kind of want to look out at the social meanings of all the space that you're analyzing, which is
So
really
have you
cool.
picked a certain space to do that project on already, or are you still considering your options?
Um, it's already due, so yeah, I handed my assignment. I choose a restaurant in downtown Aurelia. Yeah.
Okay. And so what was your conclusion of that analysis? Did they have a very unique atmosphere and space design, or was it very focused on you tell us, you tell the audience.
So, I choose the restaurant because it has an overall rustic feel inside the restaurant, and it's kind of make the customer feels comfortable and relaxed when they come in. They feel more something a little bit more old, kind of old
Like more
vibe to it.
warm and
Yeah,
inviting. Yeah, no,
exactly.
I totally understand how when you bring in like that old rustic feeling, there's something about the feeling that it's like an older building or an established restaurant just kind of makes you feel like, oh, you can kind of blend in. Whereas if you go to
Exactly.
like a brand new restaurant or something like that, it's just so flashy in your face. It's kind of like, ooh, I want to take a seat here. So I do see a question. What's your best winter sport in Thunder Bay? So I am from Thunder Bay. I'm born and raised, and I also work in Thunder Bay at our Lakehead University campus, of course. So one of my favorite sports to do is skiing, downhill skiing. Thunder Bay does have two downhill ski hills. You can also do snowboarding. You can do tubing down the hill. Another really fun activity that's good for people that in winter, of course, are is sledding. Sledding is not necessarily a sport, um, but it's lots of fun. And I do encourage when students do arrive, whether you're in Thunder Bay, whether you're in Aurelia, try out skiing, try out snowboarding, try out sledding. All those sorts of different things are great, great fun. But also to speak to the fact that like winter sports doesn't mean that it has to be outside in the snow. Both of our campuses have facilities to host indoor sports. So whether you want to play football or soccer, you can play ultimate frisbee, for example. I know that on both of our campuses, our students have started their own clubs from sports that they play back home, such as cricket. So that's always a great time. So I do see another question. When will the university reopen? So that's a really good question. At this time, we are still monitoring the situation very closely. Lakehead senior management team is monitoring and adhering to the Health Canada's guidelines and what they do expect of us. We won't open the university until we know that it will be safe for all of our faculty, staff, and students. That is our number one concern, is everyone's safety. So please stay updated if you visit lakeheadu.ca/about/coronavirus. Um, there's plenty of information updated almost daily on there. So there's another question, best hangout place. So Yvonne, I'll pass it off to you to chat about one of your favorite hangout places in Aurelia, and then I can also chat about um, one of my favorite hangout places in Thunder Bay.
Um, my best, I my favorite hangout place is the Korean cafe in Aurelia. It's an amazing place. It has desserts, it has drinks, it has very special Korean dessert called bingsu. It's a shaved ice dessert with like ice cream or like strawberries or chocolate syrup and everything. It's really, really delicious. And also, I really like that restaurant that I analyzed. It's an Italian restaurant. Their pizza, it's 10 out of 10.
Awesome, yeah. Is that one of your guilty pleasures to go there after a long week maybe and just sit down with your friends and get a pizza, or do you get takeout and bring it home and maybe watch a movie with it?
We usually go there because
Go
it's
there, yeah.
best when it's hot and
Fair enough. Yeah, and
right
you already
away.
said that you really like the atmosphere of the restaurant, and
Yeah.
I'm sure just being with your friends is fun too. So one of my favorite hangout spots in Thunder Bay would actually be the marina. So it's not necessarily a dedicated restaurant or shop or anything, but just walking around the marina is a lot of fun. It's really beautiful. We have a great view of the Sleeping Giant. And it's very close to local shops and local restaurants. It's right in the downtown core. Um, so it's great access. It's accessible by bus too. Was the Korean Cafe? Can you get there by bus and maybe a bit of a walk? Or
Yeah, we you take a bus downtown, you switch the bus one, and it will take you right to like kind of like the entrance of the cafe, which is super convenient.
Awesome. So I do see a comment, is September intake open? So as of right now, Lakehead University is still accepting applications to our undergraduate programs, most of our undergraduate programs, as well. Graduate Studies is accepting applications to most of their graduate programs. Of course, as those programs fill, we will be closing them. So please check out our apply page. It is lakeheadu.ca/international. And when you're on there, you can locate Apply Now, and it's an entire guide for the steps to enrolling and becoming a Lakehead student. And then once you do get to the application process, it will clarify which programs have already closed and they will not be accessible to you. So if you go to apply online and that program is not listed on what's available, that means that it's already closed. But we are updating the website on a regular basis, so you shouldn't have to worry about that. We do have a question directly for you. This is a fun one. So what was the most surprising thing you experienced while studying at Lakehead?
Um, this is a pretty interesting questions. I need them. I
Take
think
your time. I can also answer the question above if you want, if you need some time.
okay. I'll
Okay.
take some time to think about it.
Yeah. So while she thinks about her most surprising thing that she's experienced so far at Lakehead, I'll answer the question regarding cricket. So do people play cricket over there during the summer? So yes, students do play cricket throughout the year. So like I said, in the winter, they typically will use the hangar in Thunder Bay, or they'll go to one of the local gymnasiums or the YMCA in Aurelia, and they'll play cricket indoors. And then when it comes to summer, students have a way of finding fields that are open, and they set up practice space for cricket, and they love playing the game. Of course, we have a fully dedicated team in Thunder Bay, and I've seen that they've gotten jerseys. They look quite fresh with the jerseys, I'm not gonna lie. And then in Aurelia, there's also students that gather together and play the game for hobby. As far as I know, they're not necessarily playing competitively against other universities, but who knows? We'll see what happens. That could come eventually. So back to you, Yvonne. What was the most surprising thing that you experienced so far?
I think the most surprising thing I've experienced is the facility at the Lakehead University. I like the open space, like the study at the study commons when there are tables and it's like you sit not it's not so close. It's more like a place that you can socialize and talk to other people and interact with each other. And also, I like the little what is it? The kiosk in the academic building where you can have like coffee
Yeah,
and treats, desserts when you're just tired of studying.
for sure. Yeah.
That doesn't happen in Vietnam. Like university in Vietnam is not like that. So that's one of my most surprising thing when I come to like
Yeah,
University.
the learning commons in Aurelia is absolutely beautiful. So I actually
Yeah,
went to Aurelia for my very first time when we first met at the end of January, just a few months ago. And obviously, I've seen tons of photos of Aurelia, and I've seen it online. I took the virtual tour, I don't know how many times, of Aurelia, just so I could get a good idea of that campus. And then when I got to see it in person, I was so impressed. It was absolutely beautiful in the learning commons. And then obviously, like you said, the cafe right there and
yeah.
accessible. So leaving the classroom, I mean, obviously I wasn't leaving a classroom. I was typically leaving a meeting and just running over and grabbing a tea or a snack. That definitely tided me over. I had a little bit of a sore throat when I was there, so I got some really good lemon teas on a regular basis from the cafe. So there is a student. May I know the deadline for applications for fall 2020? So applications do close on a rolling basis. So what that means is that as Lakehead University receives applications and fills programs, that's when we close applications. So I do encourage you, depending on what program you're interested in, please go to our website and review that program page. We will make it very clear on our website when programs are closed. I know that there are a few closed in graduate studies. You can also send us an email at welcome@lakeheadu.ca, and let us know which program you're interested in, and then we can help you with that process in determining whether applications are still open. I think, do you have some friends on here with you right now? Yeah, I think it's funny because obviously I'm on the Lakehead International account and my friends don't necessarily know that I'm hosting these live, so they don't get the notification because it's not on my personal account. But
Yeah, they're
if they
making fun
joined, I'm
of
sure
me.
they would be commenting too. So do you have a photo maybe to share with us, or maybe a couple photos, some of your like life-changing moments, a moment where when you were at Lake, you realize like you made the right decision and you were so excited for the next step?
Yeah, I can show you this photo right now. Ooh. So this is first photo, and this is the. Ooh, it's not working. I don't know why.
No worries.
This one. Here it is.
Awesome. And so who are the people in this first photo? And then we'll go back to the next photo too.
So in the first photo, it's my cadmate and an exchange student from Sweden. So the first time I came here, I don't know anyone, of course, and I felt pretty lonely and sad. And fortunately, I met them, and they changed the whole thing, for, like in of the semester because I they were super nice to me. They helped me a lot um, throughout my program and my study. I have classes with them. They helped me with assignments,
For sure,
and
yeah.
I share a lot of sort of insecurities of living abroad to them, which they totally understand because they're also international students like me. So it was amazing.
So obviously you said that you were nervous about coming here and then like meeting new friends and whether you were going to meet new friends. But obviously you said one of the students, one of your friends is your can mate. So I'm familiar with that term because I heard you use it quite a few times when I met you back in January. But for our viewers, a can mate is a roommate that they share a washroom. So our really a campus residence. The way that it's set up is that each floor there's two rooms side by side, and then they share one washroom. So you'll have to get to know that one person pretty well, share that washroom together, but then you get your private bedroom, closet, study space, and you have your private door so you can kind of close that as you need. Um, and then each floor also has a social lounge where everyone on that floor can gather. Your friends from other floors can gather. Your friends that are on campus but not living on campus can also come and sign in and hang out with you. And then you said that the other student was from Sweden, correct? And that was an
Yes.
exchange student. So obviously, kind of one of those moments that you had realizing that you made the right choices, establishing those friendships and realizing that you had a support system in Aurelia. So even though you had left your family and that is your home, of course, you've almost found and built your own home away from home with almost family in a sense, like your
Yeah,
own new
exactly.
family.
Yeah. So the photo was taken on my birthday. So I celebrated my birthday in Canada. It's just it's about 2 weeks after I come to Canada. It's my birthday, so we celebrate my birthday and also my Canada birthday is just one day before me. So we celebrate at that restaurant, and it was an amazing experience. It was like the night that I'm gonna remember forever.
For sure, yeah. And then that first photo, was that first photo of your candmate, or was that a different group of people too? It looked like you were at a
Um,
restaurant, maybe.
the second photo or the
The
first one?
first one.
So yeah, the first one is the photo with me and my canmate. It's not the
Okay.
yeah.
And then who was in the second photo then?
The second photo is another group of friends that I met just right before the Bracebridge trip, and we actually went to Bracebridge as a group. It's
Oh,
not the whole
okay.
group, but they made student life a lot more cheerful. They're also all international students, So, and then I also found a girl who's also come from Vietnam. So we share a lot of like food cravings and everything. We just like have similar like interests and everything. So that's
For
why.
sure.
Um,
Awesome. So one of my last questions for you, for those viewers that are watching right now, if you have any questions for Yvonne about film media, or sorry, media, film, and communication, or if you have any questions about the Aurelia campus, her experience as a student coming and as an international student, but also as a student from Vietnam, or if you have general questions about Lakehead, including the Thunder Bay campus, please comment below. Either one of us will be happy to address that. I do already see a question there, so I'll do that one first before I move on to my other ones. Um, can we see some of your best photography pictures? Do you have any at the ready or handy that you could pull up? Maybe I
oh,
could let you pull up some photos um, while I chat a bit.
yeah, probably. I'll try to pull up a photo. I think I have some.
Okay, awesome.
I'm
So
not a professional though. My photography
fair enough.
skills
But
not so
that's to
good.
come, obviously. So I'm sure that you'll be able to take some classes over the coming years to learn how
Yeah.
to do, learn how to shoot photos and learn how to compose photos and edit photos. I know that you said you were doing that Photoshop class already and learning intro to Photoshop or intro to digital image, and then it involved that Photoshop piece.
Yes.
So while she pulls up some of her favorite photos, some of her best photos, I'll chat a bit about the Aurelia campus. So some of our really hot programs on the Aurelia campus right now are media, film, and communication, interdisciplinary studies, criminology is really exciting. And then we also have a recent partnership with Georgian College and students who study both at Georgian College and Lakehead University's Aurelia campus. We have 4 programs with them. So students do 2 years at Georgian College and then 2 years at Lakehead University. Exclusive to the electrical engineering, you do all 4 years at Georgian College. But actually, it's been accredited by both our board and their board, and by the government of Ontario. So students do receive both their diploma and their degree. So it's kind of the best of both worlds when you're choosing that. If you are interested in learning more about Lakehead Georgian, I do encourage you to visit us at lakeheadgeorgian.ca. It is a website dedicated to our programs, our offerings to do with those. Alrighty. Do you have some of your best photos?
Yeah, they're well, I'm kind of proud of them, but
Awesome.
I don't
No,
know what
that's totally
people
okay.
think about it. So, just give me 1 second. I need to
No worries. I'll answer the
fill it
other
out.
question. So there's one, what is the requirements for IELTS for admissions to Lakehead University? So the minimum requirements for IELTS does vary if it's based and dependent on which program you are interested in studying. For example, if you're studying in one of our nursing programs or one of our graduate programs, we do have the expectation that you do have a bit of a higher score because the English language requirement in those programs is more strict. Um, but I do encourage you, if you visit us, lakeheadu.ca/international, we do have all of our admission requirements online, and we do outline exactly what those requirements are for each program. Alrighty. So if you would like to show us your best photo, I'll start reading some of these other comments, and then we'll ask you some more when you're done.
Okay, so this is one photo I took. It's all from my phone. It's nothing professional. I just take them for fun. Yeah, this is the Aurelia campus when I think it's sunrise. Yeah,
Ooh,
I woke up.
you got up very early for that photo, I can tell.
Yeah, it's when I was still having a huge jet lag. I couldn't sleep, so I opened the window blinds, and then super beautiful. I was just like, oh my god, I need to take this. So yeah.
Awesome. And then I saw another one, it looks like maybe a lake or something.
Yeah, it's actually the sea in Vietnam where people actually
Okay.
go out for fish and stuff. It's very,
Awesome. So obviously you got into photography and digital media in general, as you said, when you were in grade 12. So I'm sure that before you arrived in Canada, you probably were taking quite a bit of photos of home. So
yeah.
you would have good memories to look back on, and to reminisce about, of course, when you were here. So there's a question from a student. How many international students are there at Lakehead University approximately? So approximately we have a little over 1,500 international students at Lakehead, and that's made up of over 80 nations. So we have students from over 80 nations on campus, and then that is of a total of roughly about 8,500 students on either of our campuses. So I don't know the breakdown between how many are on the Thunder Bay campus or how many are on the Aurelia campus, but those are some general ideas for total numbers. So I do see another question for you. As a student from Asia, how do you feel about Canada's winter? Do you have any suggestions or advice for international students from Asia in general, or even Vietnam in specific?
Um, my I think my best advice would be research before you go, like know the weather of the place that you're going to and be prepared for it. I I came to Aurelia in January, which where there's like super cold, and that's why I have to wear a lot of cold, warm winter jackets, and also a lot of like sweaters and hoodies, things to keep me warm. And Vietnam's weather is very different from Canada's weather. Here, everything is a lot drier. In Vietnam, everything is very humid. So if you should be prepared with like moisturizer and things like that, or your hand might crack because of the dry weather in Canada.
For sure.
So that's probably something you should be prepared for. But don't worry, mostly before you came in winter, Lakehead will send an email saying it's cold here. The weather could get as cold as minus 30 degrees in winter, so be prepared for that.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's
I
all.
know that our international student services team is always communicating with incoming students to make sure that they're aware of what they need to pack to be prepared for when they arrive. For students joining us in the winter, we always encourage to bring that jacket, the warmest jacket they have, bring those extra sweaters, that sort of stuff. And then for students that are arriving in the May intake as well as the fall intake, um, we encourage then students to typically pack what they think that they need, right then and there. And then as winter approaches, that's when students can buy gear in Canada. So they can buy the winter mitts that were already built and made with Canadian weather in mind, and winters in mind. Also getting that really warm jacket. So when you got to Canada, did you have to buy any more winter gear that was like specific to Canada?
Um, I don't because I think be prepared everything at home because I know that I'm gonna be here in the middle of winter, so it would be kind of late to come here and be prepared. So I prepared winter boots and very cold, um,
Very
very
warm, yeah.
warm winter jacket before I came. So that I
Awesome.
know exactly that I'm prepared for it. My mom is also kind of freaking out because I'm
Yeah,
going to one of the
she
coldest
can
country.
breathe easier now that she knows
Yeah.
she's sending you off with your warm gear for sure.
Yes.
Um, So I do see a question regarding the May intake amidst the pandemic for international students. So I do encourage for that student, if you visit us at lakeheadu.ca/about/coronavirus, all of our updates are listed on that website, and questions that are affecting incoming students, graduating students, current students, we are answering those on a daily basis, updating them on a regular basis. Our senior management team here at Lakehead is meeting on a weekly basis to get those answers for our students, and they're also, of course, even if they're meeting just once a week, they're communicating very frequently and monitoring the situation very closely to see if we need to make any changes regarding our procedures and policies. So I do encourage you again to visit lakeheadu.ca/about/coronavirus. And I also see another question about computer science masters for the 1-year program. And they asked, is it the first time you're giving this course? I have to be completely honest, I'm not sure of the answer for that one. But for that student, I do encourage you to reach out to us at welcome@lakeheadu.ca. And if you send us a brief email just asking the same question, we'll be happy to connect you with our Department of Computer Science and the program coordinator, and they can confirm more details for you. And then, of course, once you're connected with them, if you have more specific questions regarding what entails within that program, what sort of courses you'll be doing, all that sort of stuff, we do encourage you, obviously, to explore that. So I will move on to my last question for you. Again, for our viewers, if you do have any questions for me or Yvonne, please let us know in the comments. But otherwise, I'll ask Yvonne, what advice would you give to future students? So incoming students, international students, domestic students, anyone joining Lakehead, what sort of advice would you give to them?
So, I think it'd be better if I give advice for international students because that's what I was,
For sure,
I don't know,
yeah.
familiar with. Um, Before you leave your home country and your family, make sure you know the recipes of your favorite dish so that you don't feel as homesick when you're in university. You can cook your familiar dish and um, feel more at home. Uh, Also, check your emails and everything before you go. There are always a lot of helpful information that Lakehead University would send to you. They'll have like information about weather, like I just said, and also all the programs and what you need to be prepared before you get on the plane and fly to Canada. Staff and all the staff is like very friendly and they will always be there to support you. So don't be worried too much.
Yeah.
Everything will be just fine.
Awesome. Well, I can reiterate some of those points too, and like speak to from a staff member point of view how I would recommend that exact same advice in some cases. Checking your email is really important, of course. So our incoming students, for you as you prepare to travel to Canada, as you prepare to book your travel to Canada, as you pack for Canada, all that sort of stuff. Our international student services team, they handle that transition period, and they're always communicating best practices, what they should bring, what you shouldn't bring. They also are communicating with you with regular updates regarding your program. So whether registration is open and you need to get into courses, or there may be other changes to your program or an update from your chair, they'll be sending that right to your Lakehead email. So I do encourage you check it on a regular basis. So whether that's every day when you wake up or every day or two, I still encourage you to check it on a regular basis. Even if you've already received an offer, you've accepted the offer, that means that you are in our system as accepted, and then you could be receiving new emails that are specific to your status and kind of the next steps in that phase. And then obviously speaking to the staff, like she said, we're always happy to help. All we need is for you to ask those questions and ask us for help, and we're there for you. So you might be a little shy, or you might be concerned that your question might seem silly, or it might be something that everyone just should know. Don't worry about it. There's no silly questions. You can ask anything, and obviously we're happy to help. I mean, I've been there. I've been embarrassed that I have to ask, like, oh, where is my classroom? And like I said, I asked on my very first day of university 5 years ago. I was like, oh, I'm lost. Like, I need help getting to my classroom. And a staff member walked me right to the door and helped me get there. So please don't hesitate to ask that question. Another question how are the software jobs after graduation pay? So that question I believe that's the student that asked about computer science. So speaking to that, Lakehead's computer science degree actually has a 100% employment rate after 2 years of graduation. So 2 years after graduation, within those 2 years, 100% of our graduates are getting jobs. Of course, the rate of pay depends on what level they studied, whether it was undergrad, grad, and then also it speaks to maybe what their experience was. So whether they did a computer science job back home in their home country for a couple of years, came and did their undergrad and then their grad here. Obviously, it depends. It varies with every student, with every career path, with every company that's offering those jobs. To get a good idea, though, I do encourage you. You can Google online, um, maybe some of your favorite job outcomes, so some of those job titles, and see what the current going rate is in Canada, and that will give you a good idea of what you can expect too. So another question, can one pay their tuition fee when they get to Canada? So our tuition fees do have published deadlines. Typically for the fall intake, for example, the first deadline is August 15th. I know that we are monitoring the current COVID-19 situation very closely. And if there are any updates regarding those tuition fees or how to make payments with regards to the current situation, we will make that update on the COVID website. So that's lakeheadu.ca/about/coronavirus. So I do encourage you to stay updated on there. Also, as I said before, if you check your emails and monitor your emails as tuition payments come close to being due, we will be communicating that process to you. So if there are any new processes or are any new procedures or policies, we will definitely update you as well. So it looks like that's all of the questions we have so far. I've asked all my questions that I had for you. Did you have any questions, or did you have anything to end off in?
I don't think I have any questions.
Fair enough. Yeah, I didn't think you would. Well, I just want to take the time to thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate it. I'm sure that our students that joined us were happy to meet you and hear your story in Aurelia and your student experience at Lakehead in general. And then, of course, if any of our students that are still watching, if you have any more questions, please reach out to us at welcome@lakeheadu.ca, and we'll be happy to answer those questions. I see one last one before I end it. I'll answer this one. How is the cost of living there? So the cost of living does vary. It depends whether you're staying on campus, off campus, and then if you are staying on campus in Thunder Bay, for example, we have 3 different options. So it really depends on which options you pick. And then if you're staying off campus in either of our cities, it also depends on what your living accommodations are. So whether you pick a really beautiful home and it has 3 or 4 bedrooms, it's going to be more expensive than leasing out the 1 room in a home already. Or you could find a 2-bedroom apartment and have a roommate. We always recommend that students in their first year stay on campus with us, and then that helps them really access the support systems that we put in place for our students to make sure that they're both academically successful, but also as a student experience, they have a great experience and they're successful. And then once they have been on campus for that 1 year, they have the ability to then know more about the city and know where they should be looking for apartments, and they can also go see it in person. If you don't intend on living on campus and you do want to live off campus, that's okay too. We always recommend that students really vet their options off campus, connect with the person renting the place, potentially set up FaceTime, Skype, a live tour of it, where you can ask questions and really see the place as much as you can before arriving. All right, so that looks like it's the end of the questions. So again, thank you so much for joining us, Yvonne. And I will end it here. Thanks again.
Thank you so much for having me.
Bye.